Yes. Because in the ancient times, people wanted to assume power, stealing other people's surnames.
Yes.
So after that, when you are taught, then there is a ceremony. And that ceremony,
out of the 5 months now, or 6 months.
Yeah, that was a
and
ceremony.
You're coming back to your homestead?
Yes, where you are going to be delivered to the people.
To the nation.
To the nation. To say, this is the man who is going to be leading you. But the stick that is given, the origin of it, it's not just an ordinary stick. Remember, I said, Lomo comes out of the river, the waters. My stick, I had to go and get it in the river. Yes, they gave me the one that was used by my forefathers. But I had to go and get a new one. That is going to be the symbol of the royals of my family in my house. Who's going to be the one that is in charge of this family. That's why I don't carry it with me. You understand?
Wow.
So then when you are delivered, then people know you. There are those who are going to contest you because they are not happy
with your election.
Absolutely. Because these are thugs who would want to oppose. Then in other cases, you may find out that there was a chief in your family, a person that was not supposed to be the one that is in charge, and then he goes conniving with people to kill the one who's in charge. Then he assumes power. What the courts will do, they will make sure that they find somebody who does not have blood in their hands to be the one that is now assumes power.
By it.
I'll make a practical example. Zomo III, after Abambo, Basemampembeni, Basemahluchini, when they came back from a war of Mfekane, Mahwanga was the custodian
of the throne.
Of the throne.
While
as a caretaker, yes.
While they were at war.
Yes. He then came back and said, Ngwane, I am now bringing back what belongs to you. Ngwane said, I am busy healing people. I would ask my younger brother to be the custodian for now as a caretaker.
Okay.
A regent.
Sometimes a caretaker is chosen because of age or war or sickness or something like that.
Sometimes it is chosen from the house that we would, you know, there's what we call ikate. Ikate, it is a house where, like, you know, as a king, I would have the first wife and the second wife and the third wife. You'd find out the house that is called Indlu Ekate. It's when this wife never gave birth to
children
that are to assume leadership. Then they will then say, from Ekaten, can you then become the regent?
For now.
For now, until we find, until the courts give us the right woman who's going to bear a child for us to take over. What has happened to that? If you remember the history.
Then they refused to let go.
They let go. Remember what happened? Okay, maybe let me finish this one first. Then Mahwanga, when he brought this thing, when this young Kate was in charge, he went to Swaziland, to Somhlolo, and asked for people to assist him to come and kill Mahwanga, because Mahwanga knows the truth. Now when you kill,
your hands
full of blood,
yes,
then the gods will then do what? Shift it and give it to somebody. If people could understand that. I want to come to an example of Ngobo and Hatev. When Ngobo used to have children, and every time he would kill them whenever they are born from the main house to take over, then the council took a decision to say, we need to take him to go and hunt, so that this man, when he hunts, will give him liquor to get drunk, so that the animals must eat him. Then they ask his younger brother from the Emakateni to enter his wife. The wife then engaged with her. The wife then gave birth to the heir to the throne. Who is that? Is Dhlomo the second. Then Hadebe then moved into the Eastern Cape, because he knew that he was not the king, Hadebe. He gave space to who?
The rightful heir.
Absolutely. Now, if we understand that, to say, Loma Hlubi, who was the wife to Ngoba, he's the one who gave birth to Dhlomo the second. And Noma Hlubi was entered by
the young brother from Ekate.
Then there was a child called Dhlomo the second. Now Dhlomo the third, what he did, he deified the kingdom by killing Mawanga. That is the curse that you cannot remove. Why? Because we are people who are what?
Clean hands.
Absolutely. That's why the courts have then shifted and said, Embo needs to be restored.
By it.
So if you understand, the king is chosen by the gods. You don't sit somewhere there in the royal council, you decide to say who is going to be the heir to the throne. Then you must know the foundation of that kingdom is not the right one. A king is chosen from the gods, and before that child is born, the gods will communicate with the parents. The gods will communicate with the seers. And the seers will come to the family. Why does God communicate with the family and the seers? Because he knows that sometimes women, they become selfish.
They become
want to pull
cheeky.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They want to pull somebody in. Then he will then go God to the seers around. The seers will then come to the family to say, you are going to bear a child. And this child, this is how he is going to be raised, and this is the child that is going to be the one that takes the custodianship of this kingship. And that's why most of the children, because of selfishness, they are now then, immediately when they are born, they are then taken to their grandmothers to be hidden. And whilst they are there, they are then raised with a certain culture, a certain traditions. When they are grown up, they then are brought into the nation to say, this is the man. Then that particular process of level 1, 2, 3 then happens. Because a lot of people might say, no, we are not sure he's the one.
Okay.
Then that is the problem.
And the young man trains a bit of war and...
Absolutely. Just to understand what is absolutely.
Okay.
Some of them would be engaged into the struggle. Like, you know, I'll tell you about myself. When, before I was born, my mother was told, my father, to say, you're going to have a child, and this child is going to grow up, is going to suffer. Why? Do not take it as suffering. It is a way of learning. It is a way of understanding how things are to be done on earth. He's going to be in jail, Robben Island. He's going to be in exile. Then
the prophecy was given.
Absolutely. My mother knew that. Immediately when I went to jail, I remember when I was to be sentenced, you know, she said, can I talk to you? I said, yes, ma. She says, hey, this thing, it has started.
It has started.
And I can't block it. Who I am to start to block it. When I came out of jail, my mother used to ask me, why are you always seated with people who are old enough to be my father? But he say, and then she says later, oh, by the way, I've forgotten. You are the one that must lead us. My mother, at a tender age, with my father, they will sit down and ask for my permission for a decision of a matter that they have to take. Wow. And then when I went to exile, a similar thing happened. People treated me bad in exile, but later I understood. I assumed the leadership of leading my people. That was a training to teach me how people are on earth.
To understand the system.
Absolutely.
Wow.
As today we have Ukwa. We
Uka.
have, yeah, Uka.
Yeah.
We have Uka. Today, if I did not undergo those terrible treatments, where would I get this experience?
You would not be. You would not be. It's all introduction.
Absolutely.
And the journey is cleared.
And another thing that is a quality of a king, that king must be a seer.
Seer. You must be able to see what's coming.
Absolutely. Must be able to be what they refer as prophets today. Because that person must be the one that communicates with God. You must not be told by criminals to say, no, you must go and kill people, or we need a sacrifice of human beings. No, it does not work. No. God must tell you how things must be done. This human sacrifice, it's something that was done by cannibals who are not good people, who are devilish. God never wanted sacrifice for people.
I want us to build on that,
Yes.
on the spirituality of our kings.
Yes.
Because many of our modern kings have become entertainers.
Yes.
Their festivities are altogether secular.
Yes.
We no longer find kings. I have great respect for the king of Swaziland.
Yes.
Because his timetable is quite clear.
Yes.
There are months in a year where the king is not available.
Absolutely.
He withdraws himself from the community.
Yes.
He goes to the caves there.
Yes.
Sits alone for some time to recollect.
Absolutely.
The whole spiritual space of recollection.
Yes.
But maybe for me as a student that is learning,
Yes.
it will be important just to have a small little glimpse
Yes.
into those conversations of private conversations
Yes. Of
into
the-
spirituality. What happens in those corners?
You see,
Without necessarily giving us too much away, but
you have a conversation with God. When I mean conversation with God, you don't speak to what we refer as messengers of God, because you are the ambassador of God. So God gives you instructions. God tells you what to do, and he will tell you to say, as I am talking to you now, I will be going to relay the similar message to the seer who and who and who, so that you are not seen as somebody who is a dictator who came up with things.
it's a network.
It's a network. I'll make a practical example. The first time I saw a bishop whom we were to go to a church called Favors Cathedral, Bishop Comfort. In the evening, I could not sleep. As I could not sleep, I remember it was about 1 a.m. And then the voice came and said, when you go there, do not allow him to touch your head. Do not allow him to pour oil onto you now. There will be the right time to do so. I am going to go to him also to communicate with him, to say, who are you? Indeed, after that, I felt asleep. I slept. We wake up in the morning, we drove. When I walked into that church, you know, I so wish you could find that video clip. When I walked into that church, Bishop Comfort came down the stairs and says, wow, I could not sleep last night.
Wow.
I had a communication from above telling me that the person who is coming is Bhungane III. As he is Bhungane III, he is representing the second and the first. He said, the very same voice said, this is the person who came to restore things on earth traditionally. You need to do a certain ritual to him so that he assumes the throne in the right manner. That's how Bishop Comfort was then assigned to be the one to do the proper coronation. I did not choose him. It was the gods who chose him.
Wow. Wow. Something very interesting is that the whole space is a spiritual space.
Absolutely.
So it's not about knowledge, it's not about your education, it's not about politics. It's actually a divine movement for the. When we come back on top of the break, I want us to move into another deeper end as to when a king is being inaugurated, when a king is being appointed, and when a king is being put into power. He is being put into what power? What must he be managing? What are the emblems